This is VOA Africa.
Hello, I'm Esther Githui-Ewart. It's Tuesday, December 22nd. This is Africa 54. Due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, Voice of America is taking every necessary precaution to safeguard its employees. So our broadcast will look a little different today and in the near future as we, out of an abundance of caution, reduce our staffing at VOA headquarters here in Washington. We're working to help keep you informed about what's going on, and we appreciate you staying with us on Africa 54. A new, more contagious strain of the coronavirus is wreaking havoc on international travel. South Africa is one of several countries to be placed under the travel restrictions by other nations after reporting the fast-spreading strain of COVID-19. Sisipo Sikweya has the details.
Several countries have banned flights from South Africa over the discovery of a new variant of the coronavirus. South Africa's Health Department said last week that a new genetic mutation of COVID-19 had been found in the country and may be responsible for a recent surge in infections. The fast-spreading strain has also been reported in Britain. Switzerland has ordered people who have entered the country from South Africa or the UK since December 14 to undergo a 10-day quarantine and imposed a general entry ban for foreign nationals from those countries. Germany said it planned to impose restrictions on flights, and Turkey has suspended flights from Britain, the Netherlands, Denmark and South Africa. El Salvador has also said it is banning travelers who have been in the UK or South Africa in the last 30 days, or whose flights included a layover in them. On Monday, South Africa's rand plunged, ending a 5-session winning streak that had brought the currency to near its 11-month best.
That was Sisipo Sikweya of Reuters reporting. Over 40 countries have imposed travel bans on people arriving from Britain after the government announced last week it had detected the new, more contagious strain of coronavirus. The restrictions are causing major disruption as Britain struggles to contain its latest outbreak. Henry Ridgell has more from London.
Cut off from much of Europe, chaos at major ports. Britain has been effectively quarantined by its neighbours. Dozens of countries elsewhere have banned travel to and from the country, including India, Canada and Russia. Britain's Prime Minister said Monday the government was trying to persuade European allies to end the blockade.
We in the UK fully understand the anxieties of our friends about COVID, their anxieties about the new variant. But it's also true that we believe the risks of transmission by a solitary driver sitting alone in the cab are really very low. And so we hope to make progress as fast as we possibly can.
The restrictions are being felt most acutely at Dover. Around 10,000 trucks use the rail and ferry crossing to the French port of Calais every day. Among those stranded is Polish trucker Stanislaw Olbrich.
I have 3 children, wife, and they need me to come for Christmas. Christmas in Poland is a very special holiday. It's bound with religion and traditional. It's for Polish people. It's very hard to be away on Christmas. So this situation cost me very hard.
British exports are directly affected, while imports could be hit if European drivers refuse to travel. British supermarkets have warned of possible shortages. Britain announced late last week that it had identified a mutant strain of the coronavirus, which is 70% more transmissible. That prompted other countries to impose travel bans. A European Union-wide response is expected Tuesday.
Vliegverbod van nu is uit voorzorg genomen.
The current flight ban has been taken as a precaution.
Other restrictions on other travel options from the United Kingdom are currently being considered.
Meanwhile, over 16 million people in southern Britain, including London, have been put in the highest lockdown tier, with household mixing and non-essential travel prohibited.
I think that the new strand of the virus is definitely concerning, and I think it is the right decision, but I just wish it would have been made a few days earlier.
Scientists say the new variant of the virus makes the rollout of vaccines even more critical. Over 500,000 Britons have now received their first dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Meanwhile, it's just days before Britain is due to leave the Brexit transition period on January 1st, with no trade deal yet agreed. Deal or no deal, Britain's EU exit is predicted to cause further trade and travel disruption. Henry Ridgewell for VOA News, London.
Central African Republic President Faustin-Archange Touadera is rejecting opposition calls to postpone the December 27th election following days of fighting outside the capital Bangui. Officials and a security source say Rwanda and Russia sent troops and supplies to CAR to help counter the surge in security forces and United Nations peacekeepers who have been battling rebels. Authorities accuse former President Francois Bozize, whose presidential candidacy was rejected by the court, of plotting a coup with several militant groups. A spokesman for Bozize's K&K party is denying the accusations. The opposition alliance called COD 2020, which includes Bozize, says violence is preventing presidential and parliamentary candidates from campaigning and had led to the destruction of electoral material in almost all provincial centers without providing details. The United Nations Security Council is condemning the violence by armed groups and other militia. Many Nigerian parents of boys kidnapped by gunmen last week are still shaken. The armed man who kidnapped one boy and marched him through the Nigerian forest told him he would die there if he ran. But security forces rescued him, along with over 300 other boys. His experience was harrowing. Nekachile has more.
And now Shuaibu is back to playing football with his friends. But just a short time ago, he was in the hands of gunmen, being forcibly marched through the Nigerian forest. Last week, security forces rescued 344 boys who had been abducted from their school in the northwestern Katsina state. They had been held for 6 days, during which Shuaibu says the kidnappers would not speak to their captives except for when they fired their guns in the air and said Allah is great.
We were seated until the daylight faded. Then they started shooting guns in the air. One of them came and stood in front of us and said, "Let's move." We reached a place after a certain time trekking, and they said, "We should stop here." They said, "Even if you tried to escape, or we allowed you to run, you will go nowhere. Rather, you will die in the forest."
According to the 16-year-old, the students received little food, sometimes resorting to eating leaves and drinking from pools of water in the forest. The incident had stoked anger over insecurity that had gripped much of the country and invoked memories of Boko Haram's 2014 kidnapping of more than 270 schoolgirls in the northeastern town of Chibok. Shuaibu's father says he won't send his son back to the government science school until the government does something.
Nobody will send back his son in that school without proper security.
As for Shuaibu, he says he's just happy to be back and playing with his friends.
Nekachile of Reuters with that report. Northern Ghana is underdeveloped and women have endured the brunt of it. With high levels of poverty and few economic opportunities, business women in the capital are trying to help by working with northerners to make unique products to sell locally and to international markets. Stacey Knott explains from Accra.
These women-owned businesses in Accra work with non-profits and women in northern Ghana to source raw materials for their goods, such as shea butter. The butter, extracted from the nut of the African shea tree, is a staple in Violet Amoabeng's line of natural beauty products. She says one of their goals is to help women keep the next generation out of poverty.
So we ensure that they're able to use the profits or the money they get from our purchases to improve their livelihood by doing things like building clinics, taking their children to school, and ensuring that they have a job.
Mobarika Awudu supports women in the north by buying their handmade fabrics to make bags for Accra markets. Her father came from a small northern village, so she is aware of the many hardships in the region. She says women's economic independence has become especially important this year as incomes were stretched because of the coronavirus pandemic.
Some of them are doing well. They have started with weaving alone. Now they have apprentices that they are training as well, especially now that the schools are locked down. Most of the girls are now learning how to make a livelihood from weaving.
Threaded Tribes puts a modern twist on traditional fashion to encourage young people to appreciate African style. It sources fabrics from across Africa and works with northern Ghanaian women who do the weaving.
The fact that they are women makes me happy. There are barely any men weavers, to be honest, because they be in the farms, and even the women be in the farms too, but the weaving is a women business, and being a woman and a black woman at that, it's amazing. It's so amazing to be able to do this with women, to be honest. It's great.
While the north produces quality materials, there are few jobs, leading young people to move south, many to already crowded cities. Ghana's business experts say more investment is needed in the north to expand job prospects and to improve working conditions.
In terms of development, when you look at all the different regions in Ghana, some of the most deprived can be found in the north. So it's only fair that given that they are giving us so much value, at least we give back a bit to ensure that the community also thrives.
Investing in women, say experts, is one of the best ways to develop local economies, a practice that these Accra businesswomen are only too happy to support. Stacey Knott for VOA News, Accra.
We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered during the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, understanding the link between happiness and good health. We'll be right back.
Being part of Our Voices is about more than just sitting here and talking about women's issues. It's about listening to them
and bringing their opinions to the table and making sure their voices are heard.
Because our lived experiences, our stories, and our voices will help shape the next generation.
Hello, welcome to Straight Talk Africa, live from the Voice of America headquarters here in Washington. I am Shaka Sali. Straight Talk Africa, we call it like it is. We discuss issues that reflect the interests of our audience without fear or favor. We are guided by facts, and I look at myself as a servant of nothing but the truth.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Heavy rains have caused disaster for many people across West Africa, but in Senegal's north, after years of successive droughts, herders and farmers are enjoying a rare abundance of vegetation. David Doyle reports.
For many in West Africa, the heavy rains of recent months have brought catastrophic floods. But in Senegal's usually parched north, they're praising the heavens.
Thank God, this year we have grass.
Herders like Fariso are not used to unexpected benefits in the Sahel, a region whose semi-arid prairies stretch eastwards from Senegal through some of the world's poorest countries. But satellite data shows recent downpours have created some of the thickest vegetation in years, a vital respite for Senegal's farmers and the 3 million strong herding community following successive droughts.
You see, this grass is still fresh at this time of year. Last year, during the same period, grass was already dry, and there was not a lot of it.
That's meant so's cattle are the fattest they've been in recent memory, and other sectors have also benefited. Grains output is expected to jump over 30% this year, prompting Senegal to reverse its economic outlook from contraction to growth. But the herders' good fortune also indicates an unpredictable climate. Scientists say the region is becoming hotter, but that dramatic climate swings year to year make it difficult to predict what Senegal should prepare for in the long term. On the Doli ranch, So joins 67-year-old Juberu Kar for some tea. The older man says he worries what the future has in store for younger herders.
God is making human beings face an existential crisis. We don't know what tomorrow will be made of. The fears are real.
Across the Sahel, 2/3 of the population depends on farming or herding. But beyond Senegal, many have not been able to reap the benefits of the abundance of vegetation. Conflict across Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger has cut off access to farms and displaced communities, contributing to the worst food crisis in a decade. Senegal has escaped the violence, but the predicted hotter, dry seasons will mean water resources dwindle more quickly. And some herders fear their way of life may also be drying up.
That was David Doyle of Reuters reporting. As India recorded more than 10 million cases of COVID-19, the somber milestone was accompanied by some good news, a massive decline in numbers of daily new infections. Hopes that the worst may be over are reflected in the country's mega cities like New Delhi, which has been ravaged by the virus. And Jana Pasricha has a report from the Indian capital.
Older residents prefer to pick up a coffee from a cafe in New Delhi's biggest park and walk to an isolated spot. Younger ones dine on-site, optimistic that the outdoor location makes it safe amid the coronavirus pandemic.
It's been a long time, and me and my wife decided that it's time to, venture out once in a while. And we've heard a lot about this Sundar nursery. Nice sunny day. And it's been a very nice experience.
When I was not stepping out at all, I was more scared. But now, since I'm going out for work and meeting friends and family, so it's getting better.
That it's in the open and I can get my pet here.
A sense of normalcy is returning to the Indian capital, which has seen 3 waves of COVID-19 cases, including one last month. As the number of new infections drops, people are using mass transit and visiting markets and parks. That is good news for this cafe, which opened in November.
The response was something which was not expected. We were stock out on the very evening itself, right, before the, closing hours. That gave us a lot of confidence because of, seeing that people are accepting venturing out, midst of this pandemic.
Many businesses are waiting for customers to return as residents begin to venture out. At this sporting goods store, less than a dozen customers is an improvement from 3 months ago, but still not near pre-pandemic levels.
Gymming was one thing which kind of surged to an extent which we had not imagined. Like, people were buying 100 kgs of dumbbells, and going and setting up their gyms. So that was there. But of course, since the grounds are not open, so football, cricket, and all the team sports took a hit.
There is a sliver of hope that the pandemic may be waning in the world's second worst hit nation.
When you hear news of vaccine and other things coming and numbers dipping, so you think that it's going to happen, but I don't think so anytime soon, like maybe 6-7 months.
The scare is very much there, but life has to go on.
In a country where domestic consumers drive the economy, people emerging to dine out and shop will be key to rescuing its recession-hit economy. Anjana Pasricha for VOA News, New Delhi.
COVID-19 has forced Americans to find creative ways to safely celebrate Christmas. VOA's Veronica Balderas-Iglesias shows us how the holiday spirit is very much alive this year.
We made the whole stage a green screen, and then we brought the actors up one by one.
Michael Baker, a former television producer, couldn't let COVID-19 stop the seasonal tale, A Christmas Carol, from going on stage this year. He found a way to have only 2 actors perform live at a time, while interacting with animated projections of the rest of the cast.
All these sets are animated sets, and they've all been integrated in the editing system. Think about all the lumber costs we save with this show.
As for the audience, only 46 persons per show are allowed in the Little Theater of Alexandria, Virginia, and they must wear masks. While indoor settings aren't necessarily risk-free, Karen Toulousik and her 6-year-old son say they trust the safety protocols in place.
It's important that they're offering things like this where we can actually go out and safely be able to participate in holiday events.
The novel coronavirus has forced local officials to cancel traditional activities like the Alexandria Holiday Boat Parade of Lights. The local lighting of the Christmas tree went virtual this year.
Near or far.
But several online shows, many dedicated to children's education, are successfully keeping the holiday spirit alive.
The episode centers this idea of the joy of spending time with those who you are quarantining with, like with your family, and about how memories can help sort of enhance that joy, remembering all the Christmases that we've had.
There can be Christmas without carols and festive music, but musicians and those who organize their performances have had to adapt to performing outdoors.
Normally, no one would do concerts in the cold. We have not just, bought chairs, but we bought heat lamps and patio heaters.
In the past 6 months, 1,500 people have attended 40 classical music concerts at this venue with strict social distancing protocols. While Robert Reardon says he misses performing indoors with the National Symphony Orchestra, he appreciates the efforts to keep everyone safe.
You can feel who you're sharing that experience with, even if you're 6 feet apart or 15 feet apart. And there are venues that have really found a way to do this in a very safe, efficient way that really makes the experience enjoyable.
Veronica Balderas-Iglesias for VOA News, Alexandria, Virginia.
In our health report, the end of the year holiday season is considered one of the happiest times of the year. Many people bring on the holiday cheers with parties, gift giving, and helping those in need. But experts say cultivating happiness, not just during the holidays, has an impact on our health. In a scientific review published in the medical journal Applied Psychology, health and well-being researchers found that happiness has beneficial effects on cardiovascular health, immune systems, and longevity. Happy people are also likely to take better care of themselves. For more insight on cultivating happiness and the link to well-being, Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Mudu spoke with Tal Ben-Shaal, co-founder of the Happiness Studies Academy.
The research showing the connection between physical health and mental health is mind-boggling. In fact, regular physical exercise, as little as 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time, of jogging or walking or swimming or dancing or whatever your favorite sport is, 30 minutes 3 times a week has the same effect on our psychological well-being as our most powerful psychiatric medication. In fact, it works in the same way, releasing norepinephrine, serotonin, dopamine, the feel-good chemicals in the brain. My definition of happiness includes 5 elements. It includes the spiritual, element, the physical element, the intellectual element, the interpersonal, relational element, and finally, of course, the emotional element. And it's when we're able to integrate these 5 elements in our lives, spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional, that we lead a happy, full, and fulfilling life. And the nice thing about these 5 elements is that they're interconnected. In other words, there is a way in through any of them. I may decide that I want to focus on my happiness through the physical channel, and then I introduce regular exercise into my life. I can decide that I want to go in through the spiritual element of happiness, and then I do meditation. 5 minutes of meditation a day can go a long way. I can choose to invest more in my relationships, or to appreciate more, to be more grateful and cultivate more pleasurable emotions, or learn more and going through the intellectual. It's a journey, and it's a lifelong journey that ends when life ends. And the question is, how can I become happier? And I can become happier even if I just focus on one of the 5 areas. Now, if I completely neglect one of those 5 areas, for example, completely neglect my relationships or completely neglect physical health, then of course that is going to negatively affect my happiness. But do I need to focus on all of them all the time? No, that's not possible. Expecting to lead a life that is only happy, or that where we're always experiencing a high, that's unrealistic. And embracing, accepting painful emotions is critical for happiness. And most importantly, invest in our relationships. The number 1 predictor of happiness is quality time we spend with people we care about and who care about us. Happiness is a very good medicine. People who cultivate well-being, psychological well-being in their lives are not just happier, they're also physically healthier.
That was Tal Ben-Shahar, co-founder of the Happiness Studies Academy, speaking with Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Mutu. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, we thank you for watching.